Hello, in this video we'll cover the basics of authoring a question, including editing an existing question, creating a new one, and also finding that question when you're finished within the library. So from your main course page, open an assignment. It doesn't have to be any assignment in particular, it can really be any of them, but you probably want to choose the one that you'd like the question to be added to once you're finished authoring, just so it's easy to get to it from where you are. So I'll click on an assignment here. Next, once you're in an assignment, go ahead and click on the library. So that's the book icon. And then from here, I'm just going to click on the 3-bar icon beneath the library icon to slide the assignment out of our way for now. Okay, so from here, you can choose what you want to do. You can either create a new question, which is the paper icon that looks like it's kind of shiny. You can edit an existing question, and that's the paper icon with the pencil over it, or you can duplicate an item. And so that's the icon with 2 pieces of paper and one has a plus sign. Note that both of these, the edit and the duplicate, are grayed out, and that's because we haven't selected anything. Also, if you click on a question that is written by Sapling Learning, you won't be able to edit that question until after you've created a specific item that you yourself have created. So we'll go ahead and click on a question, and let's start by editing this one. So I click on it and then I click duplicate. So the question should pop up in a new window. If the question doesn't pop up, you may just want to check your pop-up blocker and make sure that you are allowing Sapling Learning pop-ups to occur. So from here, once you've created your question, you can edit it in any specific way that you want to. You may want to click on the Information tab to edit the title and description so that the question is easier to find. Whenever you copy one of our questions, it'll say copy and it'll give the date just to differentiate it for you. But if you wanted to add anything more specific later on, feel free to make those changes and then be sure to click Save. Once you've made any edits to the question that you would like, you can either click Item and Save to save the question, or if you navigate to another tab on the question, that will also save it. Either way. So once you've made all of the general edits that you wanted to and you're pretty happy with it, and you've saved your question, just make sure that you edit the Solution tab and the Correct tab so that they're updated based on anything that you've included that's a change to the question tab. And so for the Correct tab, this is how the student is going to be graded. The question will match the student's answer to the Correct tab, and if it does match, that's how the student gets the answer correct. And the Solution tab is what explains the answer to the student, so if a student gives up, they'll get the Solution tab and not the Correct tab, so it's important that you update both. If you have only edited based on a couple of small things and it doesn't actually change any of the values in the question or change the answers to the question, just double check that the Solution and the Correct tab have been filled out, and that anything that you would want to update has been updated. And then again, go ahead and save, and then click out of the question. So next, we can create a new item. So in order to do that, again, you just click the new question icon, and a pop-up will appear asking you what type of answer you want your question to have. There's a name for the template and then a description. These are the ones that are going to be most common to the specific discipline that you are part of. If you can't find a template that you're looking for in here, please contact your tech TA and they can help you gain access to a question. So I'll go ahead and select the type of question that I want to create. We'll do multiple choice. So once you've selected, just hit OK. And again, the question will pop up in a new window. Same as if you duplicate an item. Okay. So add your question to the text box using any tools as necessary. The text module has a variety of formatting tools, subscripts and superscripts, and also Greek letters and some symbols, special characters. So just as an example, we can say, how many legs does a spider have? And then go ahead and click within each individual box to make your edits. And each individual module type has specific options. If you want to change the module or select one, you can choose from the toolbar. So here we have, if you want to add another static text area, that's the ABC icon. And then to delete anything, you can click the red X in the upper right corner of the module. We have graded short text. And so graded short text has similar tools for you as the static module. This one we only really recommend that you use if you're testing students for spelling or nomenclature questions like that. The graded text equation or the graded text module doesn't really work for open-ended questions because the student's response has to exactly match your given correct answer. Next, we have the graded numeric entry. So this is just a specific number. You can show units. You can use dollar units. We don't recommend that you make the units graded because then the students have to fill in the units. Normally, it's enough to just edit the specific units that you want within the question there. Next, we have multiple choice. And if you are looking to create a multiple select question or add an additional multiple select question to a question, you can choose multiple choice and then select allow multiple, and that will convert your multiple choice question to a multiple select question. So next we have the graded equation. So if we click that one, it'll start out as a static equation module. So this would be if you wanted to show students an equation. If you want to make it graded, from here you can click on the static icon. This icon here with the pointer is interactive, which means that students can edit the module itself, but it's not going to be graded. So if you want it to be graded, make sure that it has the A+ icon in the upper right corner of the toolbar. And then you can edit the size. And there are more specific tools within the editor. And for more information on that, you can see the authoring guide or talk to your tech TA. And we also have some helpful information on the help pages. The next module that could be helpful to you is the graded or static chemical equation. So this one looks pretty similar, except it has some different tool options. And again, it'll start as static, and you need to cycle through to A+, and make sure that it's not the interactive option. From here, we also have a molecule drawing module. And the options here, you can draw from, and you can choose general chemistry or organic chemistry and choose some specific grading options from there. Again, for more information on this, consult the authoring guide. Finally, we have the sorting module in the far right corner. And for the sorting module, you can edit the number of bins, and you can edit the number of items down here. To edit the individual items, you can double click and then you get a text box with tools that are similar to the static equation module. And if there's anything that you're looking for that isn't within the toolbar and it's not one of the questions that you have in your selected list of templates, again, go ahead and contact your tech TA and they can steer you in the right direction. So now that I've started to write my question here, let's talk about what a basic question should have. So a basic question really needs to have the question tab, which means that you need to ask a question and have a graded module. And again, your module needs to have the A+ icon in the menu. If there's something wrong with your question and it's not working properly, that's one thing you can test, particularly for the graded or static symbolic equation and also the chemical equation modules. The molecule drawing also has graded or static and interactive, so just make sure that they're all set to A+. Next, you need to have a solution, as I had indicated earlier. The solution is what the students are going to see if they get the question wrong, if they give up, that is. So it can be helpful to include an explanation down here about why the answer is correct. All sapling learning questions have a solution explanation, but at a minimum you need to select the correct answer on the solution tab so that any students who give up or students who check their answer later on can look at the solution. Additionally, your question really needs to have a correct tab, and you need to make sure that you put the correct answer in the correct tab. As I mentioned earlier, the correct tab is how the question will match the student's answer to the system, and once the student's answer matches what's on the correct tab, that's how the student gets marked correct, and otherwise the student will not be marked correct at all. If there's no correct answer, students could potentially not even be able to do the question. So just make sure you have both a solution and a correct tab and answers in each module in each tab. Optionally, you can have extra information on the default tab. If you wanted to give an extra hint or a little more guidance. Also optional is that you can add incorrect tabs to catch any specific student errors. So to add tabs, you can click the plus icon and they're automatically set to be incorrect tabs. So say you wanted to provide some feedback for having 6 legs in our case. You can create an additional graded or an additional static text area. And then from here, give a little guidance. And perhaps that is not the best feedback, but just as an example, you can provide some specific feedback. For more information on how to set up good incorrect tabs or how to set up incorrect tabs that function properly, go ahead and contact your tech TA. You can also read about setting up incorrect tabs in the authoring guide. So now that we've created a couple of sections of our question, I need to make sure to go back and edit the information tab. So whenever you create a new question from scratch, it's going to have the format new question and then the date and the time, and that's all the information that's going to be there. So if I wanted to be able to find this question later on, it may be helpful to include some key terms both in the title and the description so that you can search using either one. Something generally speaking like that, and make sure to click save, and I'll just save my question again. And now from here, I'll go ahead and exit. So now that I've created my question, I need to be able to come back to the library and find it. So there are 2 main methods, but technically there are kind of 3 to find your question. So first, go to your home taxonomy. In this case, since this is an intro chem course, my home taxonomy is sapling introductory chemistry. Yours could be any number. So go to your home taxonomy, click 1, and then from chapter 1, click 1.1, and then from here, click your questions uncategorized. So all the questions you personally have authored from scratch will be found here. A second method, if maybe you copied your question from another question in the library and you can't find it within this specific personally authored section, you can click on your home taxonomy, and then from there click source. This will order the sources from A to Z, so you may want to click again to sort from Z to A. And everything that is a source of you is something that you own, that's in your library that you've written. So finally, if you know the title of your question or you've written something specific in the title or the description, you can use those keywords to search for your item. So I have a couple that I have written here. So now that I've found my question, it's really important to go ahead and preview the question. So whether you're writing your question from scratch or editing an existing item, you need to make sure that students can get the correct answer before you add it to the assignment. And to do that, you can double click on the title of the question in the library, or you can click the item once and click the magnifying glass icon, or the preview selected item, which is the piece of paper with eyeglasses over top. So either way, and when you preview a question, it will not pop up in a new window. It'll pop down. I lost my question. Okay, so from here, just click on the correct answer and make sure that when you check answer, you get the correct tab and that you can see the correct answer in the solution. And again, if you note that the correct answer isn't working for whatever reason, or if you see something that you wanted to edit again, from here you can edit the question further by clicking the pencil over the paper icon. Note that since this is source me, I'm able to edit this one. So when you click that, just like when you create a new question or when you duplicate a question, the question that you're editing will pop up in a new window. And from there, you can go and troubleshoot the item or make any additional changes that you wanted to make. Finally, once you're ready, the question triggers properly, and you're pretty much ready to go. It looks good. You can add the question to the assignment, and this is the same process as adding any question from the library to your assignment. Just click Use, and once it's checked, that question will be added to the assignment, just like every other Sapling Learning question. So from here, if you would like any more additional information about the specific modules and the tools in each module type, or if you have any questions for tips and strategies on authoring good questions, please contact your tech TA. Also consult the help pages, and we also have an instructor authoring guide. And if you are watching this video, you may have accessed it through the instructor authoring course, which should have the guide in it as well. Thanks for listening.